Um, it is with some regret that I speak about a happiness book, but that's just because it might be the last note. I don't know. I should go through it again and then come back with some notes because that would help me. I don't know if anybody else, but to remind myself and speak about. And by the way, they say that when you teach, this is when you learn best. I mean, if you read something, you forget it. If you repeat some of it in more emphasize, underline, then obviously you more is left in your memory. But the best way to is to teach. I'm not teaching anybody, but at least I'm pretending, and then in this way, at least as I said, teach myself. This book is Happiness: Lessons from a New Science by Richard Layard. Magnificent, mesmerizing, wonderful, flabbergasting, everything, divine. It's I don't know, note number 10 or so. There've been a few on YouTube, and alas, it's finished at the end of the book. But I'm starting a new one, a long positive psychology tome about so much inside. Some of it I don't think I will. I mean, I'm not interested in patience, but we'll see. Richard Layard talks about so many issues from Bhutan and their introduction of television and advertising in 1999. No, in 1999 he decided, the king and the country decided to measure and emphasize, insist on gross happiness levels, so to say, not GDP, economics and money. Yeah, it's important, right? But finally, it's the happiness that matters. And 1 year later, so that should be 2000, they allowed television in and advertising, public advertising, and that was bad because levels of aggression, conflicts have risen. And it's confirmed in Canada, in some remote parts, not recently, but I guess a few decades ago, they noticed the same thing when they came in with television. And they saw the changes, negative changes. Advertising, as Richard Layard says, doesn't really help. Information, yes, about products would be all right, but then advertising creates needs for things we don't need. The case of the Dalai Lama comes to mind. In a department store, he looked around and said, wow, something like, so many things I don't need. That's nirvana, by the way, if you didn't know it. You reach nirvana when you don't need anything anymore. And Stoics preach the same thing. What you need to want, what you already have. And then there's the example of the Mexican story of the Mexican fisherman visited by some gringos with entrepreneurial skills and the urge to share them. And well, you have this a couple of fishing, but why don't you buy another one? Why? Well, to expand, and then you buy a few more, and you make enough money so that you retire, and then play near the beach with your kids and grandchildren. But we are already doing that. So, in other words, the message would be the rat race is bad. So many people feel this need to acquire more and more, and that, as Richard Layard puts it, it's in our genes. Our ancestors, the ones who survived, were the ones who were not satisfied with a knife and had this urge to do their best, and that's how they survived. Made sense, but it doesn't make sense in the society of now. We don't have to fight for survival. Alhamdulillah. Well, in some places in Africa it's different, obviously, but we're talking of people in general. Taxation, which is something I don't like generally, but Richard Layard makes a reader reconsider this attitude, because, for instance, putting an important tax on extra work might do the trick. I mean, force people to again think, well, do you really need to work so much to the detriment of family relations and so on, social relations, social socializing, family are among the most important? Or is it better to just work enough to have things, but not, because the accumulation of so many things is not really working in terms of happiness level. It's a hedonic adaptation term, which means we adapt to cars, to so many material things. If money are to be better spent, they would be better spent on experiences, traveling, and so on. And he has so many figures, so many parameters. He's an economist, by the way, Richard Layard. He talks about the things which distinguish, make the difference between a happier country and a less happy one. Trust, levels of trust are high in Scandinavia. People ask, people trust with high rates. In Brazil, they don't. And again, I have to say, alas, trust, levels of trust reflect criminality in Brazil and other places. There is a problem with sorts of theft and so on. So trust, a number of people belonging to various social circles. Socializing is important. That makes also a difference. Levels of unemployment, we could anticipate that. Divorce, rate of divorce. And then, good or bad government. The quality of government impacts the happiness in one country. And finally, religious beliefs. It seems to be that happier people are religious. It's true the correlation is not clear yet. I mean, happier people have a tendency to become religious, or is it the other way around? Religious people tend to be happier. We'll see about that. In terms of government, again, inshallah, it will be better, but we have a government which is called rightly by demonstrators. There will be many tonight as well. It is called the Red Plague, Chuma Roshi. Okay, we'll see.